So today we're going to be talking about the MyCJ app and a new and improved version of our most downloaded and implemented shared solution from the PDS Solutions Catalogue. For those of you who aren't familiar with the solution, the Solutions Catalogue on the PDS website, it's a shared space where forces can publish a range of digital solutions such as PowerApps, Power BI dashboards, Power Automates, which are freely available to the other 365 administrators in their forces to do. It is a restricted space. You can only get into it if you're a member of the PDS Force Collaboration channel. And we can do this because there is, as a direct result of the shared PDS blueprints for Microsoft 365, which provides us with a common standard and assurance position for the use of this most commonly used technology across UK policing. Today, I'm very pleased to be joined by Inspector Anthony Joyce, who's the Staff Officer for DCC Irvine from Durham Constabulary, who is the lead for case progressions and prosecutions. And I've also got a colleague from the Met, Chris, who's going to join us, who's going to take us through the Met side. And we have got Mark Wood appearing virtually. He's recorded, unfortunately couldn't be with us live today, who's actually supporting the app as it currently is. Just a reminder about the MyCJ app. It was originally developed by what we call a citizen developer, meaning that somebody in the police service who has access to the out-of-the-box tools in the 365 suite, and they're covered by rules and policies of the force to make sure we're not using anything inappropriately. So it's been able to develop the solution in the first place to make a real difference. So Anthony, first of all, could you explain your role and why the MyCJ app is so popular and important?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me here today. So my role is to support the Deputy Chief Constable in his leadership position within the NPCC. That coordination committee helps coordinate national police responses and support the police and family more broadly. Mr. Irvine sits as the lead for case progression and charging within the Criminal Justice Coordination Committee, which is chaired by Chief Constable Rob Nixon of Leicestershire Police. This has been and continues to be one of the more popular apps on the PDS Solutions Catalogue, as it simplifies processes and gives clear guidance to officers whilst built around DG requirements. Criminal justice is a uniquely complex policing function, sometimes seen as just a standalone administrative one. This couldn't be further from the truth. From report to court, CJ considerations start at the very beginning. A good investigation can fail without a strong case file build. Having that clear guidance at an early stage also reduces reworking. And let's also consider the supportive nature of this product. A new officer with limited experience has to build a file at 3 o'clock in the morning after dealing with a city centre disorder or something happening on a bridge, and they're exhausted. They need support in an increasingly complex and demanding world.
So Anthony, this app isn't really about collecting the data or replacing any RMS or case management platform, and there's actually no dependency, is there, on integration?
Absolutely none. This is a standalone system. This doesn't collect data. It's free of charge and comes with a perk that those who are on here today can help develop the product further for the benefit of national policing.
That's fantastic. And we'll come back to the community that we've built later on, but it's worth reinforcing that this app is really about improving outcomes for victims and witnesses. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Of course, yeah. Public confidence in policing and more widely in the criminal justice system has deteriorated over the past few years for numerous reasons. Whilst we need officers to have high levels of integrity and engage positively with the community, the third pillar of confidence rebuilding is strong performance. This app helps build an iterative approach to learning and helps deliver some more of that experience when at 3 o'clock in the morning again, there might be little to no support in the criminal justice space. Whilst I've talked about the organisational benefits, let's just recycle this somewhat. This is about building a product that stands up to scrutiny and delivers positive outcomes for victims and improves confidence in the criminal justice world.
And I think that's one of the most important challenges we've got across policing right now. And, you know, the MyCJ process is a really important part. And it's about helping those frontline officers, those colleagues to do the job right first time, improving effectiveness and efficiency, which is really critical to what we're going on. Now, Anthony, you have to drop off for now. I know you're busy with another thing, but thank you for joining us. We want to see the actual solution now, and that's one of the key things of this. We want to demonstrate what's there, and I've pre-recorded with Mark, who's the developer supporting the MyCJ app in the Met Police, who works closely with Chris, who we'll hear from shortly. So let's play back what I was able to get and to give you an overview of the solution as it stands at the moment.
So Mark, thanks for joining us on this little bit pre-record. I'm sorry you couldn't join us live, but let's get straight into it. So Mark, this app works on both the laptop and a mobile or a tablet, doesn't it? Could you take us through the user experience by perhaps going through a case selection and how that would work?
No problem, David. So to go through a case selection, you'd start from the main screen here, you'd go to case selection, and then you would select what case file build do I need. We'll select a pre-charged case file in this example. We'll say that they're not in custody. And then this is one of the first additions that we've added to the app, and that's the ability to look up an offence. And we've actually increased the number of that's in there. We've taken the top 100 offences from the PNLD website. And so you can then select one of those offences.
We are clicking this through quickly for demonstration. Obviously, this is to take a little bit of time for the users to use it.
And of course, they have all the guidance to help them make their correct selections. So once we've selected those, it shows what offence you've selected. Now this brings us onto one of the additional functions that we've created, and that's the ability, if you've selected an offence, to click on the PNLD button here, and that will take you to that specific offence within the PNLD website, although you will need to log on to the PNLD website in order to be able to do that. But all officers should be able to create an account on that. And that will take you to the PNLD and give the officer all the specifics with relation to that offence.
And the important point there is it isn't the force who's got to maintain that data. The data is being maintained by the PNLD team, so it's always going to be up to date and accurate.
That's great.
So what about when you go to the case file?
So when you click onto the next section, this will tell you what forms you would require for that particular type of file. And this again brings us on to a new function that we've created. And that's if you select the individual form, it will take you in the form section to that particular form.
That's all the guidance and help you'd need to fill in that form to make sure you've got everything completed in the way you want to.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And there's help with disclosure as well now, isn't there?
Yeah, so the next section that's been built, this was supplied by BTP, but we modified it to fit with our purposes. These boxes are selectable and they provide information which will be useful for officers. So they click on the start, and again we're going to click through these fairly quickly just for demonstration purposes. They'd go through, they'd answer the questions. And based on the answers that they give, it will tell you what forms they would need for that disclosure. And again, if you click on the forms, it will take you to that particular form. There are further information buttons on here.
A lot of detail there. And again, as the users get more and more familiar, they might not need some of these tools.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. These next couple of sections are locally customizable by the force, aren't they, to help them to support their officers as well?
They are. So we've created a couple at the moment for the out-court resolution team, the restorative justice team. We're looking to add a few more. So these show some of the other changes that we've made, ability to put in pictures into these, and also hyperlinks, which will enable officers to go to sections outside of the app. The idea behind that is you'd put some information in the app, but then you'd point them to a source material that's outside of the app. So you don't have to have anything in there.
Avoiding duplication of effort. So if you've got it on your intranet or even your external website, you put the brief summary and the link in this section, and then you can keep it up to date where it normally lives.
That's right.
And again, this is very easy for each force to be able to customize and to keep going. It's basically cut and paste and then adapt, doesn't it, for each of these sections for the people administrating it.
Yeah, it's not difficult at all. I'm able to create one probably in about an hour, and most of that time's just filling out the SharePoint list with the details that the team provided me with.
And obviously, you've also provided some help and assistance in terms of common platform and other areas.
That's right. So I'm also the Force Common Platform Administrator. So it's my prerogative to direct officers into the app in order to make their requests for Common Platform. Also within this section, the teams who've created pages, we can also set up a contact form for them, and that would send an email to the team when officers are requiring some assistance.
This really is becoming the one-stop location to get all the help they need in terms of finding help elsewhere, or being able to self-solve the problem using the tools that have been there, from disclosure and case file building, or to be able to actually seek the specific help for the specific case. It's all in one place in this platform.
That's what we're aiming to achieve.
And it's certainly there. Now, the next step, of course, is for how effectively is it being used, and there's a user analytics section as well now that's available to whoever the force feels it needs it.
Yeah, so in the original app, the app would generate an Excel spreadsheet, which could be emailed to a group of officers. That's been replaced with a SharePoint list that's available, and it now not only tells you whether they've been into the app, but it will also tell you where in the app they have been, to provide a little bit more information to supervisors. If officers are saying, oh, well, I used the app to try and help me, well, they're going to know whether or not that's actually true or not. So can help with some supervisory elements.
And we've obscured the actual user data, but in there is all the identifiable data you need, so you can filter it down by team, areas are being used or not, and perhaps it might be interesting to see what is not being used rather than just what is being used as you're reviewing the use of the tool.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant, Mark. And I think the real important point is, again, we are going to reiterate here for people, is that this isn't actually capturing data about the offences and the personal information of victims or witnesses. It's all about an assistance to those frontline officers at 2 in the morning who need to be able to fill in the right pieces of paperwork more efficiently.
That's right.
Mark, thanks so much for this. I know we could have spent a whole hour and a half, 2 hours going through showing people the tool itself, but what we wanted to do is give you a flavour, explain what you can customize, how it supports the frontline officers. And Mark, thank you for that. And I'll go back now to Chris and the team to talk about how we can make this move forward and what support forces can get in adopting this.
Thank you, David.
So thanks to Mark for doing that, and apologies he couldn't join us live. But I do have Chris. So how does this work fit into your work to improve the CJ process within the Met Police?
So good afternoon, Dave. Fundamentally, it's been covered a couple of times. We wanted to provide a 24/7 tool that could help officers at 2, 3 in the morning, as we've mentioned. How do I? So it's a go-to assistive tool. And fundamentally, our overarching goal, of course, was to improve decision making, both for the ERO and the OIC. And you've seen with Mark's demonstration, it has the whole taking you through a logic tree, taking you to the police national legal database. All of that has the information to help you make an informed decision and then understand the criminal justice process. We put a significant focus on improving disclosure. And thank you to our BTP colleagues, where we borrowed their product and have brought it into our version. And fundamentally as well, we want to overall we want to start looking at the whole DJ compliance as well, which the tool will assist with, because it has that whole what should go in a case file. That in turn will improve that compliance. As you saw, there's some additional functionality which we've added over the last 6 months. Namely, we have the access to common platform. We have the access request to our disclosure advisors. We have access to our case management team, which for other forces might look a bit like a CJU. And more recently, we've added the out-of-court disposals. I think the most important bit to add here is this is an agile product. We are developing it and ongoing development, and that is as a result of feedback from users and from the strategic needs, both in London and nationally. So this app will continue to get better and more aligned to our users as we get the feedback and build. We're very excited by it.
It is, and we look at the number of downloads. It's difficult to track the number of implementations, but we do look at the number of the downloads, and this is still one of our most popular. So what has the feedback been like from the users?
So almost by magic, we have actually a dip sample from 25 users. So you've got how often were they using it on the slide. You've got monthly, weekly. There are, this is transparent. There's some that have not used the app. But the overall feedback from users is it's really helpful. It is that tip. The ones we get quite a lot of, it's 2 a.m. It helped me navigate how to build a case file. I won't per se read all these out, but you'll see you've got the feedback here from a PC from our West area, BCU. Unbelievably useful. There's a lot more to that there. Equally, a DC. And it's nice to see a DC on here as well, because a lot of this might be aimed and you think, is it just police constables? But you've got detectives here, equally finding the app of use. And then supervisory ranks. I'm looking at doing my ERO. Like I said, we want to improve ERO decision making, not just the decision making of the officer. So the feedback is overwhelmingly strong and good, but we really push to get, excuse the phrase, negative feedback. The negative feedback enables us to build the future sprints and build a better product. So we are building ironically, we are going to build in a new feedback loop, which will acknowledge when officers give us feedback to say that we have received it and we are now looking into it. We will then triage it and align that to the strategic needs and the user needs for prioritization of development. But yes, the feedback is overwhelmingly positive, and we're really happy with what we've managed to achieve to date and what we look to achieve going forward with partnership with yourself and other forces, hopefully.
And speaking about how we continue, please pop any questions or comments in and we'll come to them in a second. But let's go to Richard next, who's our business engagement manager from the Police Digital Service, who supports the solution on a national basis with them. So I believe there's an online community who will look at keeping it updated. Could you explain a little bit more?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Yeah, we have had a working group running for a little while, but what we've really wanted to do is focus on the delivery of this next iteration of the MyCJ application to really kickstart the community and get more interested parties along. So I think probably the biggest appeal from me, it would be if you were interested in this community, want to be part of it and work through the process of installing the application and how you would deploy it locally within your force, please reach out to us in the contact details that we'll share with you, and we'd be happy to add you into the working groups which we're going to continue going forward. Chris has very kindly taken the responsibility of running the network, but we at PDS will be supporting that. So again, just an appeal for volunteers.
And Richard, I'll come to how people can access the Solutions Catalogue shortly, but this isn't quite there yet, is it? So what should people do if they want to get the latest version of this solution?
Yes, it's not quite yet finished. The elves haven't finished working away on this as yet. So if you'd like access, the QR code is on screen now, and there's a link to a little form. It allows you to add your name, your details, who you've liaised with in force. And as soon as that application is dropped into the Solution Catalogue, we will reach out to you to say it is available and share the links, etc. So please make sure you, if you are interested, you leave your details with us so we can chase that up later.
And Chris, if I can come back to you, there is a national consistency but a locally adaptable flavour to this app now, isn't there? How important has that been from the user feedback?
So from the user feedback, I suppose it depends on how you look at the users. From looking at the other forces, for the ability to download and put into your own ecosystem, it's really important. And actually, you know, the work with Anthony at National Policing, it makes sense. Criminal justice isn't a local problem. It is a national compliance. And so why should we be operating so differently across the forces? And by working together, we can learn and we can share best practice rather than just across London, across all the other forces. And there's some great work going on. Hence, you know, our disclosure function of the app was built by BTP. We've enhanced it, but the initial product was there. With regards to our users, I don't think we've seen it yet on a local level because, well, fundamentally they police in London. I suppose the biggest opportunity is with the out-of-court resolutions and restorative justice. So that there is an alignment on a national level, which is good for the local policing.
And I think that's the important thing, isn't it? We've tried to make this solution suitable for all, and this is a fantastic example of for policing, by policing, with policing. This has been developed from a need at the front line because we do have a lot of colleagues now who are young in service, whether they be in the detective side or the normal response or local policing side. There's a lot of people with slightly less experience than we're perhaps used to having in this space. That, you know, we need to support them, and similarly supervisors similarly have often less experience to do this. Here's a question that's been put in: would this be a potential tool to help with training as officers as well?
So we're keen for it to become part of training, namely at training school you are directed about this resource and to download it and make it available, so it becomes a business as usual tool for the officers. I think it's really important to say this doesn't replace training. This is here to complement officers, you know, when they can't get hold of a supervisor or they can't get hold of an expert. This is a assistive supportive tool, not a replacement to training. The organizations, we all still need to invest in training of our officers. But yeah, absolutely, we want it to be a go-to and complement training.
And there's a number of tools in the PDS Solutions Catalogue that are like that. So we had the burglary PowerApp, we've had a couple of other ones that we featured in the last few weeks as well, where these tools are there to help and solve a problem. And that's what we're going to do. So if you are looking for some of those solutions, reach out to your business engagement officer, a business engagement manager within PDS, and they can help with that. And just to take you through how to access the PDS Solutions Catalogue, if you head over to the website, www.pds.police.uk, and click in the delivery and programs, you'll find the Solutions Catalogue there. There's an extract this catalogue on the website, but you won't actually be able to access it. You have to literally click through to the catalogue to get through to it. If you already are a member of the PDS Force collaboration channel, and over 3,000 people in policing are, that's a secure space where you can do that. If you can't get access, you click the little form button that says I can't access it. You'll be taken through you'll get an error message saying here you can't access it. Fill in the form that's request there, fill in the details. An automated process will grant you access in the coming days and allow you to get in there and work with the solution that's there. You just check if there's any extra questions coming in. Not at the moment, but we've got a couple of minutes left, so I'll just run through what's coming up in the next couple of weeks as we go through things. So It's going to be a busy couple of months. It always is at this time of year with events coming up. So towards the end of February, we've just announced a new SharePoint workshop. Rachel Robinson from the business engagement team taking the lead on that. The link is on the website to register for that. It is police only, and that's an open forum where we can talk about SharePoint and data management. We're going to be out and about there's lots of big events coming up, so you'll be able to meet us in person at BAPCO in Coventry and at the Security and Policing the Home Office International event. We'll be in the GovZone to see. We have the Change Champions Network coming up with DWP. And looking ahead, we've got a couple of events in the autumn, which I'm giving early heads up for. If you want to be involved in the Emergency Tech Show, we're really interested. We're working very closely with the organisers this year, and we're keen to showcase some of the things like this, that to the wider blue light community. And of course, we've got something big coming up later on in the year as well. So please save the date for anything that's coming up. Security and Policing, you're probably on your last opportunities to register for that one. It is a vetted event. You have to be vetted to go to it. It is a very big international event organised by the Home Office. If you are interested in attending that, I do urge you to look into that as soon as possible so that you can get in there. And again, you've got the Emergency Tech Show. So save the date for the October. Make sure your email is you are subscribed to email to get alerts for this, for webinars like this and other events, but also when we make any big announcements. I can't see any other questions coming in. So Chris, on behalf of Anthony and Mark, I really want to thank you for sharing that today. There's a lot more. We could have spent absolutely ages going through the detail on that solution. It is very comprehensive, and I'm really keen that we get more of these to come in. If forces have implemented the solution, please make sure your business engagement manager knows this so we can make sure we can provide any support when updates are available. And please make sure if you are not perhaps the person who can get this implemented, reach out to us and we can try and help navigate around the force to help make this happen. So thanks for joining us today. We had a really large audience live watching us live. Remember, we do these most Wednesdays. We'll put alerts on the website when we have got them. If you have watched this playback, please hit the subscribe button so you get alerts when the recordings go available, and give us your feedback. And remember, you can get in touch with us anytime via the Contact Us form, and we will get back to you if we haven't been able to answer your question today. But thanks for joining us.